Hello and welcome back to the Caribbean. This is the Caribbean edition, the Saturday Caribbean edition of the Useful Content Creation Show. Today we have with us content creator, author, speaker, and certified this BMW. Is it BMW? BMW Master Sales Trainer, Adrian Havelock.
Broadcasting live from Relate Studios in Trinidad and Tobago, it's the Useful Content Creation Show with your host, Juma Bannister.
Sometimes I forget how much I love that intro. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Useful Content Creation Show, the Caribbean edition. My name is Juma Bannister, and I'm happy to be with you. A special welcome to the Useful Content community. Today is episode 15, season 2 of our show, and we're happy to have with us Adrian Havelock. How are you doing, Adrian?
I'm good, Juma. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm not doing too bad, man. Not doing too bad. We're going to have a conversation, and then at the end, we're going to have our segment that seems to be very popular with people, the agree-disagree segment, so that should be good. Yeah. And we'll see how it rolls. So welcome to the show, Adrian.
Thank you for having me.
And anybody who's on any comments, you know how we do in the Useful Content Creation community. We throw our bulbs up to show that we are lighting up things and illuminating things. Let me just kind of drop some. Throw your bulbs up. You know how we do. On UCC Live, your hashtag UCC Live. And if you're here on the replay, don't forget to put your UCC replay hashtag as well. So Adrian, so tell the people who you are and what you're about for people who don't know about you.
My name is Adrian Havelock. I am a sales trainer, well known throughout the Caribbean. I have authored 2 books, one of which is on sales that everybody loves. I get invited to speak a lot of different events, and I'm a certified BMW Group trainer because BMW is a brand that I love, and I've always loved working with them. And now I get to play around with these vehicles and exciting technologies and have fun with it and show others how to do it. But outside of that, I am just a normal guy who likes to eat food and work out.
Who likes to eat food? Really?
And work out. I mean,
the two of them go together. So what does it take to become a BMW certified sales trainer?
I would say it would take a lot of perseverance and passion. When I started off in sales, I was actually 19 years old, and I got an opportunity at BMW in Trinidad. Back then, it was Bavarian Motors. So I was a salesman. And after a number of years of being in that field, I was actually in the top 3. I experienced a training event with some European trainers, and I was like, I want to do that. And I started making connections and keeping in connection with some of these guys, reaching out over time and saying, I want to do this, I want to get into this. And eventually, after a number of years, one of them did come back and say, well, Adrian, let's try it out. Let's bring you on board and see how we can get this thing started. And from there, one thing led to another. I did one of my certifications with the BMW Group through their training academy, and I became certified. And I still have some other things to do, but I love doing work with them. You may meet it.
My bad. I can't believe at this point I'm still doing that. It's like Zoom all over again from 2020. That's an excellent process. It's amazing how those things happen that you can't really predict how your process will go, but you end up in a place that is like, I haven't touched this before, but I feel like it's going in a direction that I want to go, so therefore I will pursue it. Yeah. It's really, really interesting how those things happen. So let's ask a big question, and this is a big question I ask everyone on the show. What makes your content useful?
I give a lot of sales tips. Now, when it comes to business, I would say over 99% of businesses out there are in it to make a profit. And you can only make a profit if you can generate sales. And my area and expertise is in sales. And as such, I do training and development in that field. And I figure that creating content on this topic in terms of how to sell, how to present to your customers, giving people those kinds of tips, it's really useful in that they can take that knowledge, execute it in their organization, or if it's a company that they own, or if they're self-employed, and they can really see the results. So it's definitely a field that I've carved for myself, especially in the Caribbean. We have these traditional old-time ways of selling that I think younger generations and the new evolved customer, the way they consume information to make buying decisions, it has changed, and we need to adapt with that as well.
Do you well, I know you believe that not just salespeople are in sales, that everyone who has something that they would like to sell to somebody is in sales. So then, do you think that there's not enough specific sales education for small business owners out there?
I think there could be a lot more specific sales education type of content for everyone out there, because if you think of it, even if your job does require you to be a part of a sales team or have a sales team if you're a business owner, at the end of the day, how are you marketing and selling your products? Because marketing is another side of business that people really put a lot of emphasis and focus on. But when it comes to closing the business after you attract the customers, that is where they fall short. That is where they struggle. It's like you get the customer, but do you really have the customer?
Right. And I discovered when we were talking, I think on LinkedIn, that I know your wife. Your wife works with a marketing company. Do you get
She
marketing
did.
advice from her?
She did work with a marketing company. I get some advice from her. She does teach me a lot of things. She shows me a lot of things from a different perspective. So big up to Jayashree, Mister. She
Yeah.
is great
Hashtag
at
wife
what
for
she
life,
does.
right?
Wife for life. Hashtag wife for life.
Yeah. All right. So I want to show you something here. This is one of your early entries on YouTube.
Right.
Hopefully it will load.
Hi, Adrian Havelock here again, and I'm at the beautiful island of Tobago, and I just wanted to share a really good sales tip with you guys. And I want to let you know that in order to be successful in sales, you've got to really build a fantastic relationship with your customer. Now, building a relationship with the customer can take a few minutes, it can take maybe weeks, it can take months. It all depends on the industry that you're in the industry that your customer is in, that you're working with. But if you build a fantastic relationship with your customer, get them to know you, you get to know them really well. Your future sales and sales that you will be getting as referrals from that customer would be all set, because you've become friends with that customer. So take the time, put the effort in, and really try to build relationships with people, because this is what sales is about. It's a relationship game. So from Tobago, wish you all the best. Take care. Bye-bye.
Get a bit of an ad there at the end too. So that, no, those are early days. What's your thoughts on that? Seeing that now?
Big pelt back there, boy. Big pelt back. Honestly, the information hasn't changed. I still stand by it in terms of building fantastic relationships. But back then, I was still getting familiar with, being on camera and posting content, putting it out there. It was still new for me back then. So you could tell I was still, not as confident behind the camera as I am now. But the information still remain the same. It's the same advice I would give to anyone when it comes to doing business.
Right, yeah, and I could tell. Well, by the way, I know that that place. You are at Ohana, so
Hmm.
yeah, I know that place very well. We stayed there already, and done back in my wedding days. We shot a lot of weddings. It's a beautiful place.
It was really
Uh,
nice.
yeah. So I seen you there with your camera, and the wind is blowing. It's just interesting. It's
Yeah,
interesting to see yourself how the beginnings, what the beginnings are like.
I know, right?
Yeah. And so you're not gonna take those videos down, right? It's not too cringy.
No, no. I believe that when it comes to content, I like to be authentic and be real. So let me show the mistakes, let me show the flaws. Even when I'm doing videos now and I forget to say something and mid-recording, I'm like, boom, 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 and I continue speaking. I don't edit it out. I think it gives that realness and authenticity as if you're speaking to someone and the person gets the message even more. At least I know I would.
Right, and that would kind of speak to your personal brand. And I know you believe in having a strong personal brand, and you've been building yours for many many years. What was the kind of the aha moment that told you actually needed to invest in building a strong personal brand?
Um, I actually had a conversation with an interesting individual. His name is Tennyson Harrigan. Back in my earlier days when I'm doing training and development for companies, he pulled me aside and said, Adrian, you need to have a website. You need to have a website on your name. Nobody has purchased that domain. You will own it, but it will be your brand. You need that personal brand. And it stuck with me. And I'm very grateful for him for pointing that out for me. And in fact, he built the first website for me on the adrianhavelock.com and designed it and so on. So, kudos to him for that, pointing it out. So it really wasn't my idea. Someone brought that to me. I didn't think about it back then.
Right, but they kind of like, oh, so that's what activated you into the action.
That is what activated me into the action. I must admit that, yes.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I mean, it's good to have people around who can give objective input into your process, because that's part of growth. It's like you can't see everything. People have to like be like, oh, this might work, this might work, and you have to know. You have to pass that into what makes sense and what doesn't. So, what has been your strategy since then, since those beginning times, in terms of building
Um,
a personal brand?
in terms of building it, my strategy has been really focused on teaching. And not teaching as in a classroom setting, but when I do videos, I always want to share something that somebody could action on. But
Mm-hmm.
I give them enough that they could use, but not too much in that, I wouldn't say that they wouldn't want to check me or call me or reach out to me to get more information on how to do
Mm-hmm.
it effectively. So by being able to give that lesson on a very short video, sometimes 60 seconds,
Mm-hmm.
um, I think that has worked really well for me because as I do it more, I started to find ways in which I could improve camera, lighting,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
duration of the video, right? The type of content. And most of the time, I record those when I have an idea, when it's fresh in my mind. I don't wait to come back later unless if I'm in a really noisy area or something or somewhere where I can't record it.
Mm-hmm.
I try to record it as soon as possible so that it's there before I edit the video with some captions and then load it up online.
Right, right. And so, did you always consider yourself a teacher, or there was a point at which you're like, oh, I'm actually doing this thing now, but I have to like take on the persona of a teacher. I have to do it. What point that there was a transition into just being someone who is doing a job to like teaching?
Um, it came over a period of a couple months because I would post videos and I'd realize that the videos where I was teaching something or giving advice tend to had more traction than the videos where I was just trying to market myself and say, reach out to me, for training and development or to training a sales team. Those videos weren't going as far as the ones where I actually gave useful tips, useful advice. And that's when it
Mhm.
pivoted that I need to become teacher and teach more online when I post my videos. Because if you go to my YouTube channel, you'll see quite a number of other videos where I just have the tips that I would normally post on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram. And
Mhm.
it's more on a teaching level.
Right, right, right. Interestingly, you're talking about teaching, which is one component, and that is like tied into your personal brand now. But
Mhm.
also on YouTube, there are pieces of content which are just like fitness content. Um, As a matter of fact, your first video on YouTube was a deadlift video,
Yeah.
right?
That was
Right?
before I even decided to make it like a brand, but I never wanted to take it down. I like, leave it there. Leave it there. Let them see how long ago that video was. But yeah, I thought fitness was gonna be something that I could push, but not necessarily into a brand. It's just like, showing off, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't believe in ever taking down the videos, just leave it. Leave it. Let them find me.
Has fitness made you like? Has that been a big part of being a better salesperson?
That has been a big part in being a better person overall. I think when I'm not able to go into the gym, I'm a very social being. All right, I need camaraderie. I need to be around people with positive vibes, with the same energy, people who will cheer you on and motivate you. And the gym is one place where I get that when I'm not doing business, so I'm not hanging around other successful people who I could learn from. The gym is one place where I find that level of comfort and belonging and motivation and encouragement to push myself harder. So fitness has helped mold me not just about being a better sales trainer, but being a better person overall. It has given me what to say. I didn't go mad. Let's just say I didn't
Right,
go
right,
mad.
right.
During the pandemic, when gyms were closed and I couldn't do anything and I had to force to work out at home, I couldn't even find the motivation to work out at home. It was hard because I didn't have that community to
Right.
work out in. So that is when I realized, yeah, I really need to have that in my life to be able to keep my sanity.
Right, right. So community for you goes past just social. Community for you is equal to development and life.
Correct, correct. At the end of the day, as human beings, we are all social beings. You could be an introvert as much as you want. You still depend on other people for certain things in life, and that socialization with people is something that is very important to me.
Yeah, yeah. I agree. I agree. Community is very important. As much as people, I mean, of course, you have your times when you're by yourself or you're with your wife or whatever, but then yeah, other times when you're out there and you're speaking and having those conversations helps you develop as well. It's like you learn things.
Correct, correct. You do. You learn a lot of things. I mean, simple as my personal brand. It wasn't my idea, right? It was someone else who told me I should do this. I need to have this, and then they helped me get to that point. So just by having that outside perspective, they would see things that you can't see. Remember, you can't look yourself in the eye if you don't have a mirror, right? So these other people can look you in the eye and tell you this can be better. You can do this a certain way, and you really need to take what they're saying, listen, and then decide if it'll work for you or if it wouldn't work for you. But first, listen.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Listening is a big part of. I mean, there's a question about that later. I guess in
Right.
the agree disagree.
Mm-hmm.
So your career in sales started, you said, when you were 19, and of course you did pretty well in the first years of your sales life. But I'm pretty sure at that time you weren't a content creator, and actually content creation wasn't even a popular term back then. It existed, but not in the way it exists now.
Facebook
Um,
didn't even exist.
yeah. That was nothing. I remember when people used to be poking people and dunking on them on Facebook when it first came out. That was like the purpose of Facebook. Now it's personal brand building and advertising.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
was there for MSN Messenger and Winamp,
Oh,
right?
I
So
remember that. That was so cool.
yeah, after school, you'd come home, log on to MSN Messenger, and message your same friends you saw all day, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
when I
yeah.
was in sales, it was before content creation became a thing. So my form of content creation back then was TT Post. So I do like to get sales from customers. I would like order 100 envelopes. I would get some. I would create some flyers with a letter and stuff like that. Photocopy, and then spend 100, $200 and in stamps, then go by the mailbox and I'm just putting letters into the mail. So I'd probably invest like maybe a $300 in myself, just sending out letters. That was my content creation going out to people. Because when they receive that in their hand, right? Obviously, when you receive a letter, the first thing you do is open it. So the opening rate was almost 100%, right?
Right.
And um, even if I got one sale from that 100 mail outs, it used to cover my cost more than 10, 20 times the amount in my commission just from that
Right.
one sale. So it worked out for me in that regard. That was my first and early days of content creation before it was anything online.
Yeah, I mean the principles still applies. Huh? It's like people forget those days of receiving things in the mail, but the principles it still applies.
I mean, if you receive something in email today, you opening it faster than you'd open an email. So it's still 100% click rate, right?
yeah, it's like oh, I get some mail. It's like it's not a natural thing anymore. It's like and here's the problem. The problem is that most of the mails are bills now, right? So
Right.
when you get a mail that is not a bill, it's like
Mhm.
it's like
It is.
if we open this up, especially if it's nicely put together and stuff like that. So.
It's exciting. And I could guarantee, right, about more than 50% of big and important decisions are made while sitting on the throne.
People opening the
You're
mail.
sitting down and you're reading and you make that decision. I guarantee that is what happens.
Right, and so mail was effective in that regard because a document to read, So,
Of course.
do you think, and this is probably a question that you've answered already, but do you think really that, and I don't want to probably shouldn't lock this into salespeople, but do you think salespeople can be successful without social media now?
Yeah, I think they could be successful. Social media is a big help. Social media cuts out a lot of hard work, right? And you can be very successful on social media. But if you don't have social media, you can still see a level of success as long as you put the work in. It's just going to be harder because what social media has done is that it has given you an outreach to people that you would have not been able to reach before. All right. So if you don't have the social media, you're not going to reach these people, but you will reach some of them. So you can still see some level of success. I know some people who don't use social media, but they're still successful because of the years of work that they've put in. That right now, all of their businesses basically referrals or people that they know because they've established themselves so well that their presence on social media is almost nil, and they're
Yeah.
still doing well. But if you're going to get into sales and you really need to start getting customers, you have to start becoming a content creator and doing stuff online.
Yeah, and talking about talking to people that you know, so we all know how the sales process goes, right? You know at sales, you basically talk to everyone that you know. You talk to your friends and your family. You in your circle of people who you're closest to, and you try to sell to them. Some of them buy, some might not buy, but then eventually that pool gets exhausted.
Yeah.
How does a salesperson plan for when that pool gets exhausted, and can content help with that?
Well, that is, I think you just answered the question right there within your question, because I don't believe in exhausting a group of people that you already know, right? I think it's easy to inform them, but if you start creating content, you position yourself differently than if you just reach out to someone, hey, buy this from me, hey, I'm doing this right now, I'm selling this, why don't you do business? Or reach out to me when you're ready to do business. If you start creating content and you start teaching people online about what it is you do, right? And you can show them how to do it, I guarantee more than 80% of them not going to actually do it. They'll still reach out to you for advice to help them with it, right? It creates that level where you position yourself as an expert very quickly. Because when you start to give advice and create that content and put more and more content out, they're going to start looking at you differently. And that same group of people that you would have probably exhausted in the earlies would also look at you from a different perspective now, because it's like, hey, that man or that woman knows what she is talking about. I should probably listen to them a little bit more. So content would really help elevate your status. It would help position you as an expert way faster than if it is you were just trying to hustle from different groups. Buy this for me, call me when you're ready. I do sales and real estate, that, yeah. Cuts out a lot of work.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. And it's something that if you're not accustomed doing it, or if you haven't done it before, I think the hardest thing is for people who are coming, who have been in sales or any business for a long time, to now arrive at this point where, like, oh my God, I have to do this thing. It's not part of me naturally. People who are starting now almost have an advantage.
Yeah.
is like it's brand new, or there's almost an advantage. Have you spoken to anyone that you needed to bring into that new mentality of you should be really be doing this thing, and how did you convince them of that?
I do that in my training sessions. When a company hires me for sales training, um, I find out what is the company's policy with regards to content, right? Some of them, if they don't have one, I tell them you need to get your salespeople creating content. And in my training sessions, I try to help them get accustomed putting content out there, getting behind the camera and doing it. I can guarantee not everybody gets into it, right? But for the most part, they already know how. And some of them do. And the ones that do actually outperform the ones that are not doing it. So it's really about getting them to try it and make the mistakes, but feel comfortable in making mistakes. People are so worried that when they go on camera, oh God, my eye twists, my mouth have dribble on it. I don't like how I'm looking at talking with my mouth twists, right?
Right.
I'm not wearing makeup over the marks on the. They're watching everything else except what they're talking about. And I believe that if you were to forget about everything and you really talk the truth, you give some solid advice, you give something that is teachable, learnable, that people could buy into, they would buy into you, they would buy into your products and services. And it's not about how you look at all. At all.
Right. What was your personal hang up keeping you from doing video at the start?
It was those same things. It was like, what am I going to talk about? How am I going to look when I'm doing these videos, and I just started doing it. And some videos, I'm sure they're still not good. I mean, the one you played this earlier in this segment, I still stand by that advice. But in executing and recording that video, I was having a lot of different thoughts in my head, and I think you could see in the video where I was having the thoughts. But after some time, I learned, okay, Adrian, stop looking at yourself. Look at the camera lens, right? Because when I look at myself, I realize I'm not looking at the camera lens. I'm looking at myself. When I look at camera lens, I take the focus off myself and I get to concentrate more on what I'm saying, and also the viewers get to feel as if I'm speaking to them directly. So that was something I had to learn over time and get over the fact that I need to stop looking at myself, which is, I'm guessing, the same hang up that a lot of people have. They're very concerned about themselves and how they look when they really shouldn't. They really shouldn't. But it's unless if you do it, then you'll know.
Yeah, you wouldn't know unless you actually do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've been doing training, teaching people how to, to use their content for sales. And so I know that in one of the modules in your sales course, it's called, so you made your pitch, get ready for objections.
Yeah.
What's the price now, right? That's one of the modules in your course.
Yeah.
How has listening to objections made you a better content creator?
That comes back down to listening. If you listen to what someone is saying when they're giving you an objection, it's either two things that's happening. One, they're genuine about what's keeping them back, or two, they're trying to bluff to see how much of a best deal they can get out of you when they can more than afford the price that you're quoting, right?
Mm.
If you listen and you listen carefully and attentively, you would know how to respond to that in such a way where when they're about to respond afterwards, you'd know immediately if they're genuine or if it's a bluff. And if it's genuine, you can go in for a close. If it's a bluff, go deeper, dig deeper, find out more what's really keeping them back, because chances are they could be bluffing, or maybe there's something that's hidden that they don't really know is keeping them back, and that's why they're trying to bluff to see if they could get a better price out of you as well. But it all comes back down to listening and knowing how to handle it effectively. It gives you patience, right? And when it gives you patience, it gives you time to think strategically, to respond effectively.
Yeah. Listening is so important. I think many people discount. They like output. Lots of output, like to say stuff, but the input is, in order for you to have accurate output, you need to have good input.
Exactly.
So
I don't think people realize that if they listen, they can get people to pay, customers that is, to pay full price. People are ready to quick to say, 10% off, or I'll take off some of this for you and you'll get it at a better price. No, don't sell yourself short. sell on full price, right? But show the customer value at the end of the day. Let them see the value in your price and they'll buy into it.
Yeah, it's true. Very, very true. So you said many times that marketing and sales are not the same, but you do make marketing content focused on sales.
Correct.
So at this point, do you consider yourself to be a better marketer or a better sales trainer, salesperson?
I would say when it comes to marketing, right? Marketing is what makes the phone ring. Selling is what you do when you answer, right? Now, in order to become successful in sales in this modern day and age, you need to know how to be an excellent marketer, right? When it comes to companies, that's two different roles. Marketing is one role or one department, sales is another role and another department. But they both have to work together. I believe that when I'm online, I'm a very good marketer. When I'm training in a session, I'm a very good sales trainer. When I'm closing a sale, I'm a very good salesperson. So it all depends on the role that I'm playing at that very moment. You have to focus on doing the best in that role. So if you're a salesperson, you need to know which hat you're wearing in the moment, and you'd be the best at that moment if you know how to focus on it directly. So do you want to tell you if I'm a better at marketing or sales training or a salesperson? I can't really differentiate it because it all depends on the moment in which I am executing my content.
And it kind of comes in one package, yeah? It kind of like, it's like, so you're basically saying there's emphasis, like you emphasize this at this point, you emphasize that at this point. And it's like, and the example of that might be like if you are a married person, you have kids, at one point you emphasize your husbandly duties and all those different things, and then you emphasize being a father to your kids.
Correct.
Or you might emphasize being a good person at your job, but it's all makes up you.
Yeah.
And so that's how the kind of sales and marketing works together, that each has a function, and you have to be aware of their roles so you can do it properly.
Correct. And they are interdependent on each other, right? You can't have one without the other. You can't be a salesperson today without also being a marketer online creating content, right? Now, there's a love-hate relationship there, because I've seen companies where the marketing department and the sales department are not in sync at all, right? And where the marketing department can do great marketing, right, and support the sales department, the sales department can do great sales and support the marketing department. It's not happening because there's a disconnect. So I've had an example where one company, I was talking with them, I did some training and stuff, and the marketing department is telling sales people, no, don't create content. We share what we post on LinkedIn. The thing is, it don't always work like that. The content is not going to have a far reach, but if the sales people can create their content aligned with the brand policies, right? But they create and post their own content, they have a much farther reach, right? And you can generate more sales. So I told them, I said, you guys are shooting yourselves in the foot, because you are losing out on an opportunity here where the platform, you could use it in a very efficient way to generate sales. So you need to work on this disconnect and this the way in which it's not in harmony. So a lot of companies really need to take a close look at how marketing and sales perform separately as well as together. You're muted.
Again, sorry, it's raining here, so I don't want the rain to come through the microphone.
That's fine.
So I guess nobody wants to be obsolete.
Pretty much. Maybe that is what it is. They don't want to think that, the sales department is taking over the marketing role, but really and truly that's not what's happening. It's just they need to support each other.
Yeah, it's true. And so let's talk a little bit about something I know you love to talk about brand, right? So people have different definitions for brand. Obviously, some people refer to it as a reputation. Jeff Bezos famously said it was the thing that people say about you when you're not in the room.
Yeah.
Martin Umayer is the marketing expert that said a brand is a gut feeling about a product, service, or organization. I personally define a brand as the thing people don't forget about you. That's my definition. So when you encounter people, or you do sales training, or you have interactions with prospects, what is the thing that you don't want people to forget about you?
That's a very good question. Maybe it's a feeling that I've always had behind my head. It's like, I want you to know that I'm the best sales trainer there is out there, right? It could be my self-motivation. It could just be my will. It could be anything that makes me want to think like that I'm the best sales trainer I have out there. Hi, Emma. Plug. But with regards to those different definitions that you just called there, from Jeff Bezos and your personal one, it's all correct. It's all right. I believe in all of them, right? Brand is more than just your logo, the brand colors, your font that you use, right? Brand goes to your service, the way you deal with irate customers, or the way in which you deal with problems and you solve problems, the way in which you provide solutions. Everything about the way in which you do business, either as an individual or a company, is your brand. Okay. If even if you don't have a business, you're not a salesperson, you don't have a company, right? Who you are, your character, your integrity, all of that is your brand, right? The way you show empathy, right? Your work ethic, all of that is your brand, and that is what people should not forget about you.
Yeah, definitely. I like how you brought it back to intangibles. The things that people don't necessarily see or hear, but they interface with when they talk to you.
Well, it's more about a feeling, right? It's not what they see or hear, but it's how you make them feel. And if they feel confident in you, they believe in you, if they feel happy with you, right? Any kind of good emotion when it comes to you, that I think says a lot for your brand.
Yeah, most definitely, without a doubt. So I've heard you say that every product has a buyer. So in your mind, what is the correct order? Make your product and find a buyer, or identify the buyer and then make your product?
This reminds me of the favorite quote: "Build it and they shall come." It's about. Repeat that question for me.
Okay, so what is the correct order? Do you think that people should make their products and then find buyers, or should they identify a buyer, like, I want to sell to this person, and then make a product afterwards?
I want to say that it should be neither. I think you should identify a problem and find a solution for it. And when you identify a problem and you find the solution for it, right? The solution could be something you create, or it could be something that you provide, right? You will get the customer. You will get the ideal customer also if you market it and target effectively.
That's a good answer. It's true. You identify a problem, because I mean, unless you're solving something that people want solved, then your product. It's so interesting. Oh gosh, I have a story about this, but I can't tell this now. This is it's a story for a different time. But yeah,
Right.
you're right about identifying that problem. It's very interesting.
If you look at the TV show Shark Tank, that is a plain example of the sharks looking for people who have solutions to problems, to everyday problems. And they invest in the problems that they believe have the best solutions, or is a big problem that you have a solution for. They jump at investing in those things because they know it's going to bring them money, right? It's going to bring them business. But at the same time, it's solving a problem.
Yeah. I have seen though on Shark Tank that people pass on things and then it does very well. But I mean, I guess in terms of rate of success, if you do it that way, then you have a higher rate of success. There will always be the outliers that
Correct.
that kind of creates a problem. Basically, it's just like when America had a big surplus of milk. And this back in the mid 1900s, and they were like saying, okay, we have all this milk and nobody to buy it, and milk really goes bad fast. So what do? We create cheese,
Right.
and then we start to promote foods with cheese, like pizza and this, and so you have a sort of industry springing out of that. So they had a problem. How they solve it was like by turning the one product into another product and then marketing that other product because they really couldn't get everybody to be like drink milk. So they said, let's turn it into cheese.
Yeah. And now it's in the reverse because have a lot of people who's trying to stay away from dairy and
Yeah.
dairy products. And now there's almost everywhere you turn, there's products that has dairy in it, right?
Yeah.
Some form of dairy, and it's like people have to stay away. I know people personally who just can't eat anything with dairy, and they have, not by choice, but they have to go to a more kind of type of vegan kind of diet just to get away from it in order to be able to be healthy and not have any kind of reactions. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I myself have a story with that. Didn't drink milk for a year. That was a bad. I do that sometimes. Come off for stuff for a year, and that was an interesting decision. The results.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I know you've written 2 books. You've co-authored The Will to Win.
Yeah.
And let me just make sure people, because I know that you do this all the time. You put it right behind you. Let me just hide this thing so people can see it. Right, there we go. It's down to the bottom left of the screen. The Will to Win, and then there's How to Succeed in Sales and in Life. This is just so people can see it. Let me see if I could make this a little bigger. Let me take myself off actually. Oh, you have it right. Okay, good. How to Succeed in Sales and in Life. That's the current one that's flying off the shelves.
That's trending. And The Will to Win, and I actually co-authored it with Brian Tracy and quite a number of other authors and experts globally. So here's my face.
Yeah.
I did chapter 4 in this one. This one is only available on Amazon.
You made the top row, man.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah. So I suspect you're probably working on a third.
I started a third, yes, but that one's going to take a while before I actually come out with it. I'm not rushing it. I'm focusing on other priorities.
All right. Oh, sorry, but I suspect if somebody goes and looks at your content, the content you're currently posting, it would give them some insight into the type of book they could expect in the near future.
Yeah, of course. Most of my content is sales related, right? As a sales trainer, I try to keep it that way, support salespeople, sales departments, and companies. So I have the plan to focus on something that's along the same lines, but it's still in the bare bones stage. I'm nowhere near starting to write it yet.
Why did you agree to be part of that book?
Interesting story. When I was writing my book, this one, right, I reached out to some experts globally, a few of which I knew, and some of them I didn't know. I just took a chance. I took a shot in the dark, and I reached out, and I was like, hey, I'm writing my first book, and I would like to know if you can be a part of this book. I would promote your website in it, right, and I'll put your bio and everything in it. So I kind of reached out with that kind of message, and I got a couple of responses positive, and had some interviews like this over Skype with a couple of them. Got really good advice. Now, mind you, these people are experts already. They have books, either a book or books out already. They are international speakers in their own right. Some in the UK, some in Europe, some in the US, right? And one of them, his name is Jim Cathcart, right? In fact, he wrote the foreword for my book, right? And when he wrote the foreword, he provided 2 stories coming out to the ending of the book. And really, really insightful guy, very, very big. He's a former president of the National Speakers Association in the US, Sales Hall of Famer as well. All right, so he's quite big in the industry in the US. And he wrote a couple books. One of them is the Acorn Principle, also Relationship Selling. Those are some of the books that he wrote. After we wrote this book, and it was in the process of being edited and so on to be published, he reached out to me and said, Adrian, I have an opportunity where you could write a book with me, and we can put it out together. We'll have a couple of authors in it as well. And I was like, yeah, of course, because he helped me with mine in the first place. I would love to be a part of the next book, right? But then that changed. He said, Adrian, plans change. It's going to be you and me writing a book with Brian Tracy. Brian Tracy is another big guy in the industry, right? And I was like, of course, I'll take that opportunity. We both will write a book with Brian Tracy and these other authors. And that's how I got into that. It was because of, I guess, someone I knew, right? They referred me. They thought I was a good fit for it. And more importantly, they said that they like my energy. You know?
Right.
So I think it all comes back down to your personal brand, your energy, the vibe you give off. All of that is something that attracts people to you, and I think that that is why that opportunity was presented.
Yeah, that's a great story, man. Yeah, relationships again. You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it
of
works
course.
their advantage. All right, so let's that's the end of this part of the conversation. Let's jump into the agree disagree segment of the show, and let's see what we can share and see whether or not Adrian agrees or disagrees with some of these things. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
All right, so agree, disagree. So these things that I'm going to show to you, these statements, isn't reflect on whether I agree or disagree with it. It's just general statements that you can agree or disagree. Some of them are specific to you, and some of them are general statements. And so if people want to play along in the comments, they can play along in the comments, and we'll see how we go. So the first one, this is the one that I ask everyone, and I want to know your thoughts on it. Agree or disagree? Passion before skill.
Agree.
Agree.
That's
So
my
you
that's my story. You need a story for this too, or you just need me to agree?
no, I mean you could add to it if you want to. It's no problem.
Passion before skill. I fully agree with it. When I started in sales at the age of 19, I had absolutely no skills. I was right out of secondary school, partner. Right. So I had absolutely no skills, but I did have a passion and I did like the brand for BMW. So I turned that passion into a skill where I became one of the top three salespersons within the first 2 years in the company. So by 21, I was blazing a trail and beating out guys who was there 10 and 5 and 10 years before me.
Right.
So if you have a passion for something, you definitely could get the skills over time as long as you stick with it. Just as when I transitioned into sales training, I never trained people too much before, but I started teaching and training and so on. And now I love what I do, and people love the way in which I do it, the way in which I execute it. So passion before skill, I definitely agree.
Yeah, I saw that picture of you in your white polo looking Nashi. Well, for those who don't know, Nashi means really slim in Trinidad and Tobago, really thin. You know, and shades and things, trying to be all cool selling BMWs at the young
Yeah,
tender
yeah.
age of 19.
I was very maga.
Yeah, MAGA as we would say, you know, and not that other MAGA. MAGA means slim.
Maga means
MAGA means slim in Trinidad and Tobago, like really,
mm,
really thin. All right, so agree, disagree. Price anchoring is an effective sales tactic.
hmm, hmm. I think I would have to be that one would be situational. It would be situational for me. So I want to agree, but I say I want to disagree because I've encountered different situations where it could have gone either way. But I could lean more to agree with this one.
Yeah, you actually use price anchoring on your sales and to sell your course.
I do. I just drop the price there. I don't want people to be messaging me, it was the price, was the price. I think that's a waste of time and energy, and it just, my phone just dinging off. That's, tell it was the
Mm,
prices. But
right,
I've seen
right,
places where it has worked, but I lean to more the agree because of the fact that, it just cuts out all this extra work.
right. All right. So next one, agree, disagree. The questions you ask are more critical than the answers you get.
Agree.
Okay, agree. And this one should be obvious, but maybe people might not know this. This is less confusion is equal to more sales.
Agree.
Agree.
Simple is best. If you could explain something that a kid could understand, obviously adult would understand it. So if you can be simple, make it less confusing. It's like a website. The less is more. When it's easy to understand and flow and navigate, user friendly, it's more effective.
Right. Okay, agree or disagree. A standing ovation after speaking is more exciting than landing a big sale.
Disagree because money talks. I celebrate a lot more when I get a big sale than when people give me a standing ovation after I do a talk. So I could guarantee I know the feeling that it has when you land a big sale because you put a lot of work into something.
Right, right. Does it depend on the stage though? If the ovation was from like I don't know, 10,000 people in a hall that size, like on a nationally televised or internationally televised event, would that change your perspective on that?
Well, it would from a branding and positioning perspective, because now I just level up, elevate myself, which would result in closing more sales even easier. So there's a bit of a overlap there.
Oh, all right, all right. There's a bit of an overlap. I can rock with that. I can rock with that.
Mm.
Agree or disagree? Snail mail is still an effective means of selling,
Snail mail as in mail outs,
as in regular mail, paper
regular
mail.
mail.
Yeah.
I like how it works, because the opening rate of an email is not as effective nowadays as it is when you get a mail in your post box.
Mhm.
So chances are, when you have to do a follow up on it, chances are the individual you send it to would have seen it much sooner than they would have probably opened the email, because it's easy to get your email lost in your inbox or in your junk or something like that. But it works. It works. You'd be surprised to know how snail mail could work, but it would be dependent on certain factors, industry, type of product or service you're selling. It wouldn't work for everyone.
I had this big idea about using, and maybe I shouldn't say this publicly because I don't know, but this whatever. I had this big idea about using regular mail to do some marketing, because everybody's talking about email and different things, email marketing, and which is regular now. But I had this big idea about using that like regular mail. But yeah, it's a thought. I mean, I've been considering it, so it's good to get your feedback on that. All right, and lastly, on social media, you grow more from doing rather than consuming.
Well, of course. I mean, if you're doing on social media, that means you're producing, right? If you're consuming, you're not producing anything. So, um, simple as anybody on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn, the people who post content, who are very active, right? They get more followers, they get more responses and likes and feedback and comments and things. So you grow, because when more people interact, it spreads. And in that way, you grow more from doing rather than consuming. Consuming, you could have a profile that's blank and empty and not a single post, and you could consume everybody else's stuff, but nobody would know who you are.
It's true. It's true. And that is the end of that segment. Agree, disagree with Adrian Havelock. What does the initial stand for? Do you share that with people?
Yeah, I share it. I just wait for people to ask because it's quite interesting. My name is like an English name, so my middle name is actually Nolan.
Oh, cool. Nolan. Adrian Nolan Havelock.
Nolan
Sir.
Havelock, yes.
Sir Havelock, I presume.
Sir, until I get knighted, yes, it'll be Sir Adrian Nolan Havelock.
Havelock. All right, so we can find you at adrianhavelock.com. Thanks to Tennyson, what was his name?
Tennyson Harrigan, he's the guy who started it all.
Thanks to Tennyson, we can find Adrian at this website. And you are on Instagram as well, on IG.
Yes, I am.
Right? And Adrian is .havelock, right? That's correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay, right. Adrian.havelock. And unlike many people who come on my show, you actually have a personalized YouTube link, which is great. You have a YouTube link, which is good. People often have letters and which nobody remembers clearly. So youtube.com/Adrian Havelock. And if you go to the website, you'll get all of the other social media. The reason I didn't put them there is because some of them may not be as updated as others. And I didn't put your LinkedIn. I guess they could find you on LinkedIn too.
LinkedIn is the main profile. Just find me on LinkedIn. Everything is here, is on LinkedIn, is business related, sales related, everything.
What are you on LinkedIn? You are. Oh, I see you on LinkedIn. Oh, LinkedIn is not as personalized. You have this thing. You can change that.
I could probably do that. Yeah, I probably didn't know.
Yeah, it's like it's a long, but yeah. This is the thing. So you get people. I recommend that people change that as soon as they can. You did kind of change it, but it still has the number at the end.
Okay, well, just punch in my name in the search bar. You'll find me.
Yeah, you'll find it. It's Adrian N. Havelock, Nolan Havelock. Don't put Nolan, just for the end. and you'll find Adrian there. All right, great, excellent. So thank you so much, Adrian, for being on today. I appreciate it. Hi, Russ. Russ is just saying hello. Hi, Russ. Good to see you on. So thank you so much for being on. I appreciated you being on. I know we kind of did this on a bit of a short notice, but it was good nonetheless. And I'm thankful for sharing your sales and content creation knowledge with the people of the Useful Content community. Any last parting words?
Well, Juma, first of all, I want to say thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. I found this very insightful, right? And I wish you and your company all the successes going forward. And for anybody that want to reach out to me, just send me a message on LinkedIn or hit me up on any of my socials. I am always reachable, and we could connect in that form. But again, thank you, and I'm looking forward to great content going forward.
Excellent. Thank you, Useful Content community, and we'll talk to you very, very soon. Let's tie this banner here and say bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.